everyone, this is Pat Mesiti, Friday afternoon, 5 p.m. What a week. And, I've got some exciting news to share with you. And then I just want to shoot straight from the heart. But tomorrow morning, Brian Tracy, the living legend, is going to be doing an exclusive summit for us online. And I've got a couple of seats left. Why would I get a guy like Brian Tracy on? Well, let me tell you why. Number one, the guy has left an amazing legacy on this planet as far as leadership, as far as sales, as far as entrepreneurship. People go, sales are easy, just love the people. Not really, not really. That's a lot of do-gooders who want to think they're good at selling, but they're not really. And I remember one day I went to an event and a guy said, I've got a problem with you, Pat Mesiti. And I said, join the queue, sir. He said, listen, he says, I'm not in all this, buying and selling stuff. He said, I'm a Christian man and I'm not in all this buying and selling. I said, well, then you have a problem with your faith then, don't you? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, do you know what the word redemption means? And he stood there and looked at me like a raccoon looking at a truck light at midnight. I said, the word redemption means to buy back. God bought. We sold our soul and God bought it back. And God bought from a thief something that was rightfully his. And there's a lot of things we can learn. A lot of times people, act so spiritual and don't really understand what's even coming out of their mouths. So why would I get a Brian Tracy? Well, number one, he's left a great legacy. Number two, this is a man of not just 1, 2, 3, 4 years experience, but generations or, 20, 30 years of experience. A man that's traveled the world and sold millions of books, helped millions of companies. A man who is revered and respected from the boardroom to great statesmen and leadership. And to have him come on board with us and to align himself with myself is a great honor. The third thing is the guy's got incredible insight. It can take you years to learn something that a man can teach you in 20, 30 minutes. People go, well, experience is the greatest teacher. No, it's not. Experience is the slowest teacher. So I brought a guy like Brian in because he's got great insight and he can give you wisdom without waiting. He can give you knowledge with less pain. He can give you insight without you having to go through the learning curve of it. The fourth thing I asked Brian to come and speak to us is because we need steady hands in today's turbulence. And, I'm reminded of that plane that went down in America and landed in, I think it was the Hudson, the river down there, landed in the river. And what was amazing about that is that the pilot was able to land that plane in the middle of a city like New York in the river. No one got hurt. The reason he was able to do that because of years of experience. And today in our world, we've got a lot of people that are shooting their mouths off with no experience. Brian Tracy is a man of experience. We've got a lot of, new kids in town, and I'm not against that. I think it's fantastic. But let me tell you something. Some of these guys have been around for years and it's not their first rodeo. And probably one of the last reasons before I get into what I want to say today, why I've invited Brian Tracy. He's just brilliant. He's brilliant. And he's brilliant. Licensed his products all over the world and has taught so many senior executives, and people would pay $50,000, $100,000 to hear him speak, and you have him at your disposal. As well as that, tomorrow I'm bringing in one of the world's leading internet marketers on board. This is a man that consults to me, and we're going to be starting tomorrow. The link will be there, and you can avail yourself. Join us for the whole day. We'll be done around about 2:30 in the afternoon. I think we start at 11 o'clock. It's going to be an amazing day. But anyway, I wanted to close off the week by speaking to you at what builds greatness. What builds greatness? Number one, first thing that builds greatness is humility. I've met some amazing leaders in my time, and I've met some quasi-great leaders. Firstly, when I met the great Nelson Mandela, I noticed he was an incredibly humble man. an incredibly humble man. A couple of years ago, I went and did a tour with Georges St-Pierre, arguably the greatest UFC fighter of all time. And what I noticed about him, he was humble. And you know what? Oftentimes, a humble person never tells you they're humble. You can see it in their posture. You can see it in their access to people. I've met a lot of leaders and I watch them. You know, you're sitting there and you're talking to them and they're looking over your shoulder to see who else is coming out their way or who else's attention they can get. These are not humble people. Just this week, I had an instance of someone that I thought was a humble person, but insecurities get the better of them. They get reactive. That's not humility. That's not humility. Humility is understanding where you came from, because it will always remind you of where you should be going. Humility is not about, oh, gee, that's not, no. Humility is a state of the heart. Humility is about being able to receive correction. When I look at some of the political leaders in our country, especially some of these and I call them despots, there's no other word for them, little mini Stalins like Dictator Dan, who can ban us from going to a funeral. But, you know, if you're an illicit drug dealer, you can line up and break all the social distancing and every other rule in the country. I find that a man of arrogance. I find Palaszczuk a person of arrogance, that telling us that these are our hospital, the posture. It's not going to work. And remember that, you know, pride comes before the fall. Satan's biggest problem was he was a man of pride. He would make himself like God. When Adam and Eve sinned, what did the snake appeal to? Their pride. And you will be like the Most High God. So humility. Second thing, I believe what makes people great, what makes countries great, what makes a nation great is an ability to honor. Honor is magnetic. Honor is magnetic. That's why the good book says you want to live a long life, honor your mother and your father. And we have a lot of people right now that sow in dishonor, especially young people. And you listen to me very carefully. I'm going to look straight in this camera. And I need you to hear me, especially some of you younger ones that listen. The very last thing God said in the Old Testament, and I know this is not my Sunday morning preach, but while I'm at it, let me give it to you on a Friday afternoon. Listen to me. Last thing God said in the book of Malachi is that when the Messiah would come, he would turn the hearts of the children back to the fathers and the hearts of the fathers back to the children. And then God never said a word for 400 years until he sent his son on the planet to restore the hearts of the children back to the fathers. Anything that separates the heart of children from their fathers is that spirit of lawlessness and that Antichrist spirit. If you look at what's happening in our world today, nation fighting against nation, brother against brother, family against family, over what? Over strangers you don't even know? I'm fighting for a principle. No, you're standing up for indoctrination from the spirit of lawlessness that's around. You can't honor your mum and dad. You may not have to agree with it, but you've got to honor. You can't honor the people that have elected you to serve them. What I'm seeing around our country is not honor at all. Treating us like fools. If you didn't have a look at my talk yesterday, go back to it and have a look at it. What am I doing with Brian Tracy? I'm honoring the gift of Mark Victor Hansen, Jack Canfield, some of these great leaders. Just this morning, I had a great conversation with one of the greatest, I believe, Christian leaders on the planet, a great friend of mine called Rodney Howard Brown, and honor him, for him to say, Pat, have you got time to talk? Are you kidding me? This guy who's, you know, a consultant, a man who consults the president of the United States, I was so humble that he would even allow that. But honor. I tell you something. We need to wear respect as a badge of honor. Honor is magnetic. It draws people to you. Just remember that. If there's any young people listening to me, honor is magnetic. Honor and humility, two H's. Third thing that I think makes people great, countries great, organizations great, not just honor, not just humility. Thirdly, service. I'm not talking about customer service. I'm talking about getting your hands dirty. I'm talking getting down there and helping people, not just dictating orders. not just shooting out directives. That's not service. The great teacher Jesus said this. He said, if you want to be the greatest, learn to be the servant of all. And he took a towel and washed people's feet. We've got a lot of people today that do the opposite. A lot of leaders today that they don't want to get a towel. They don't want a towel. They want to be paraded. They want everyone else to wash their feet. Pick them up at a certain time in the car, drop them off at a certain time in the car, do this and do that. Shooting orders. I'm telling you, serving humanity in the best way you can is a great way. How can you serve humanity? Just today I was picked up and saw one of our people, one of our clients, a young lady by the name of Carly, getting out there, and she's going for a trek and a run of several hundred kilometers to help women who've been abused and helping the organization rise up. That's called service. That's called service. So getting nothing from it, you know. How are you serving the community? How are you serving humanity? How are you serving your clients? How are you serving your people? How are you serving those around you? How are you serving your parents? How are you serving your children? Servanthood. Servanthood. That doesn't make you a slave. It doesn't make you a doormat. It makes you great. It makes you great. One of my great friends, Dr. Rob Thompson, one of his famous things he says, how can I exceed your expectations today? Fourth thing that I believe is vitally important. If we're going to build great countries, if we're going to be great nations, listen, admit when you're wrong. Admit when you're wrong. We all do wrong. We all make mistakes. We all get knocked down. We are all people that have clay feet. Don't be so hard on yourself. Stop beating up on yourself. Admit your mistakes and move on. Mistakes are an event, they're not a permanent condition. A mistake is something to do, not something you are. And if you will choose to move on, and then do acts of kindness. Be a servant of people. Learn to walk in humility. Learn to walk in honor. You'll be respected. Someone said to me this week, "Oh, Pat, cheap shots don't build anything, and they certainly don't build respect." To which my reply was, my statements are not cheap shots. My statements are convictions of the heart. And if that offends you, that's your problem, not mine. Now, I apologize if it offends you, but it's not my problem. I'll always go the higher ground, even if sometimes I've got to take the low road of humility. Serve people. Be a humble heart. Admit you're wrong. Learn to honor. Give honor where honor is due. Do you know, honoring people means you choose not to be a silent friend. Honoring people means you respectfully address things. And I've done it on this platform for quite a while. I don't want to be a silent witness to Holocaust happening in our country, economically, spiritually, emotionally, and socially. We do it with honor. We do it with humility. We do it with respect, and we do it with a heart of service. Anyway, look, that's my little rant from the heart today. I thought I'd come on and just share with you a few things, but tomorrow, please join us tomorrow. Jonathan's going to put a link on there. Please, from wherever you are in the world, we're kicking off, I think, at 11 o'clock Brisbane time, and it's going to be an amazing 4 hours with the legendary Brian Tracy, my great internet marketing coach, guru, go-to guy is going to be there. You're going to love him. You'll kill yourself laughing as well and be thoroughly entertaining. This is Pat Mesiti. Thanks for being part of Live at 5.